Good evening to Gunner Shot and welcome to Gunner Shot. Today we're going to discuss where Baluchistan stands. It stands on the brink as Pakistan looks in the wrong direction, as it always does. To discuss all this with me is General Dushyant Singh. And at the outset, let me welcome him. Good evening, General Dushyant. Welcome to Gunner Shot once again. Long time since we've had a one-to-one like this.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Good to be back again, sir.
Yeah, great. Before we get on to the subject proper, let me put a few issues across to everyone. Look, I've always said Balochistan can survive without Pakistan. But the bigger question today is, can Pakistan survive without Balochistan? Right? So that's what we have to now, we're going to discuss, and that's part for discussion today. Now, this entire story of Balochistan has 6 layers. That's the way I look at it. The first layer is Balochistan itself. And within Balochistan, there are security issues, there are issues related to geopolitics, there are issues related to the resources of the state, and there are issues related to the people. Okay. Then there's the issue, the second layer after this is that of Pakistan. Pakistan has its, not only Balochistan is a problem, it has TTP also as a problem. There's an incipient problem in Sindh also and in Kashmir. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Then the third layer is the polycrisis of Pakistan, which is it has an economic problem, it has a political problem against PTI, Imran Khan. That problem always keeps coming up. There is radicalism and terror within Pakistan, which is homegrown and exportable. Right? Then it has its own geopolitical compulsions. Right? And it has enmities with Iran, Afghanistan, India, and even China. The things are not so great. And finally, the army itself is a problem in Pakistan. So that's the fourth layer. The fourth layer is that as days have gone by, the army has lost its credibility. Right? And today it stands. If you see the Pakistan discourse anywhere, the army is losing its credibility. And I believe PTI has put out an elan asking Asim Munir to resign. But then that's a different story. Then there's a fifth layer, which I call the Chinese layer. And China has its interests. It's in CPEC, it's in Gwadar, a whole lot of things. Extraction of minerals from Balochistan. So that's the fifth layer. And the sixth layer of this problem is the nuclear weapons of Pakistan. Okay. So these are the 6 layers which we need to discuss and which we will discuss today. Right? What I would request, General Dushyant, we can start with the first layer, Balochistan proper. Where do you think Balochistan stands and how do you see the dimensions of Balochistan as it stands? Yeah, all yours, please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving a introduction to the entire subject today. And it's good that you have done an onion analysis of the entire issue. So layer by layer, I think we'll go ahead. The first layer, as you said, is Balochistan, the people of Balochistan, the geography of Balochistan. So if you look at the geography of Balochistan and in comparison to Pakistan, Balochistan is the largest province geographically, if you look at it from that point of view. But from a population point of view, probably it is the smallest. So there is a dichotomy as far as that particular issue is concerned. But like as you said, can Pakistan do without Balochistan? Or can Balochistan survive on its own? Now, answer to this question is Balochistan has the potential to survive by itself
Your voice is getting cut.
because it has the largest because it has the large is my volume okay again,
Yeah.
or should I shift to mobile?
No, it's okay. Just
Connection?
leave it. You can continue. Then whatever.
Okay, so So what I'm trying to say is that the minerals are in plenty there, and minerals of all type. So mineral is one issue which is attracting China there, which is attracting Pakistan itself there. I mean, now I'm referring to Pakistan and Baluchistan as probably two different entities, and
Entities.
there is a point about, yeah, there is a point about Pakistan's Baluchistan exploitation. The mineral exploitation agreement says that 50% of the minerals will go to China and 48% will go to Pakistan.
Your voice is not heard.
That
I think you'll have to
I
shift your
think so. Let
computer
me
or
just switch over to my mobile connection,
yeah, no problem.
or
Not an issue at
let
all.
no. I'll switch over to mobile connections. Uh, that
Yeah.
will be better because
Mm.
uh, because that is more steady than my. Just okay. How's the connection now, sir? Is it better now?
No, I can't see it. You're gone frozen. Your new one is not. No, it's the same thing. I think your
It is the same thing?
basic connection is weak.
No, even now it is weak.
Uh,
Okay,
the sound is
let
okay.
me then let me go to a different place, sir. I think that will be a
Okay.
better way to handle this situation.
Yeah,
Meanwhile,
no problem. Still, yeah, come back. So as we were saying, the as General Dushyant keeps coming back, this is the interesting thing about Balochistan. And sorry, the interesting thing about the mineral deal between Balochistan and yeah, I think he's just going to come back and he'll be okay now. Yeah, you're better. Can you hear me? You're frozen,
yeah,
Dushyant.
sorry. Yeah, now
Yeah,
is the voice
yeah,
better?
you're better. Yeah, your voice is better.
Yeah, and so therefore I was talking about the mineral deal first. Now, as far
Yeah,
as the mineral deal goes, the agreement is very funny. 50% to China, 48% to Pakistan central government, 2% to the people, I mean, Baluchistan state. Now, imagine this is sheer exploitation of a state's resources. And the public is actually fighting for this. And that is why you see that most of the attacks are on the routes of de-induction of these minerals on the train route, which is going from Balochistan to the Pakistan and also by the Chinese. So that is one major issue which people have to understand. Now, this agreement was actually supposed to be there till 2015. The Supreme Court gave a ruling that this should be changed. But what has happened is these guys are extending every year this particular agreement just to overcome that Supreme Court's ruling. Although let me tell you, for Pakistan it doesn't make a difference if the Supreme Court has given a ruling. They might have another chief justice who will come and change this particular ruling, but in any case, I mean, they are showing some facade of getting into some kind of an agreement. The second issue is about oil and natural gas. Now that Sui is the, you are all of you are aware, it's in Baluchistan. It has got the largest block of petroleum. Although the state government has now put a kind of a block saying that no more exploration of oil and natural gas will take place from this particular region until and unless you agree to change this entire agreement of sharing of resources of oil and natural gas also. But again, the government of Pakistan, especially the central government of Pakistan, and which is essentially controlled by the Pak army, is trying to stop this particular this particular arrangement of sharing again to be changed. So this is the second major reason what one need to understand. The third major reason is that Balochistan itself, if you go to the history of Balochistan, when the separation was taking place, Balochistan was the last state by force which was assimilated into Pakistan. Actually, Balochistan was more interested either in India or an independent state. Getting into India was practically not possible because of geography and the separation which should have taken place. But definitely, independence was very much there on the card, and Bukti, etc., had actually fought for it, but that didn't happen. So that was the third factor which Balochistan has been nursing since 1947. So therefore, that is also there embedded in the psyche of the people of Balochistan. The fourth major factor as far as Balochistan is concerned, poverty. Balochistan is one of the most poorest state amongst all of them, all the states of Pakistan. Imagine the sharing of resources which the central government is supposed to give to various states. Balochistan only gets 2% of the resources allotted in terms of money, also in terms of budget also, whereas the poverty alleviation scheme, as per the given out proportion, they should get about between 9 to 12%. So where 9 to 12% and where is 2%? So what is happening is that the people of Balochistan were indulging in trade with Iran, trade with Afghanistan, illegal trade, I would say smuggling, whatever you want to call it, because they had to survive. I mean, that's a very natural process. Either you
They call it
migrate,
the informal trade. They call it the
yeah,
informal trade.
informal trade. But Pakistan central government put a stop on that also, saying that that is illegal, so therefore that has to be stopped. Now, people of Balochistan are virtually pushed to a corner. Last thing, and that is about the disappearance. I think, since the people of Balochistan were not heeding to the central government, Pak central government's diktats, they started protesting against the various oppressive measures, and as a result, Pakistan army has been only dealing with a heavy hand as far as people of Pakistan, Balochistan are concerned. People have been disappearing. People have been thrown. Their bodies have been thrown from helicopters and what have you and what have you not. The Yekzeti committee, which has been sitting in for the last so many days, has blocked the CPEC route also. So therefore, there is a combination of people who have become militants out of sheer disgust. There were people who were in the government who wanted to fight the system or fight for their demands through a political process. They found that it was not going anywhere, so therefore they have all joined the militant groups. Students who were looking at fighting through political process, they find that in the universities, etc., they were not being given their due representation in the political process. Even if those guys who were there in the parliament of Pakistan, they were not being heeded. The governors, etc., were all appointed who were proxies or who were proteges of the central government. As a result, you found that bulk of these youngsters who have been in the universities of Pakistan, etc., have been all going, taking to the hills, joining the BLA, as we call it as BRAS, Baluchistan, Raja Ali. And this is a group of all the militant groups, which are ethnic groups, which are there in Baluchistan, who have combined now. This is the first time it has happened this year that they have all combined together to fight against the Pakistani oppression, Pakistani army, and Pakistani soldiers. So
Yeah, this is
these
brass. This thing, Baloch, Raji, Ajoy, Sangar.
Ajoy
It's an
Sangal.
alliance of, yeah, it's
Yeah.
an
So
alliance of Baluch Liberation Army, Baluch Liberation Force, Baluch Republican Guards, and the Sindhu Desh Revolution Army. Yeah.
virtually every militant group has joined this. Every militant group has joined this. So this has happened very recently. It was not earlier. They were all fighting, independently. But now with this combined force, they have become a force to reckon with. In fact, one can say, I have figures of the last 3 years of the attacks which have taken place on Pakistan army. The increase is now in terms of 100%. And you will be surprised. This is the news for, I think, most of the people. The GTI index of 2025 has been just released, and it says Pakistan is now number 2 in the list. First is Burkina Faso, second is Pakistan, and it is all thanks to BRA and in the
Of course, TTP.
and TTP in KKP province. So therefore, what we are trying to say is that the entire region of western border of Pakistan is now out of control of the Pak army. It's a it's a region which is begging for a major course correction, and if the Pakistan authorities or Pakistan, what they call themselves as Pakistan, do not take any corrective measures, we can discuss those corrective measures, what those measures could be. It is a region ripe to fall apart from Pakistan on its own without any external force trying to give any kind of a support also. So that's the level of situation as far as Baluchistan is concerned. I would say, if you want to add anything more to this first layer, so you are welcome to say so, sir.
No, no, I want to discuss this. See, there are three, movements in Balochistan. One is the Balochistan Executive Committee, which is
Which is the
headed by
Marang,
Marang Baloch.
which is the
Then, of
most
course, this
popular.
is the popular one, yeah. And second, of course, this is the militant party.
Yeah,
And third is the Gwadar Ko Hakdo party. You
correct.
know, what I want to bring out is that Marang Baloch and Gwadar Ko Hakdo, which is run by Maulana Hidayatur Rahman, want rights within the parliament. I mean, within the constitution. They are not unconstitutional. They are only asking for the rights. Okay.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. Whereas BLA and all these brass of everyone, all these
Independence.
militants, they're asking for independence.
They are asking for
Okay.
independence.
Independence. Now the thing is, which I want you to, comment. I
Hmm.
think the Pakistan army is putting pressure on both in the same manner, and they're treating each as the other. As a result, there are good chances that people from Marang Baloch lot or that Gwadar Ka Hakdo will turn towards militarism. And eventually, all these three organizations have a chance of coming together. I want your views on this because this will become the critical mass for any secession of Baluchistan from Pakistan.
The Gene Sharp's book, which talks of change of regime or separation from a particular country of a particular region, you will find there are two things which are very important. One, there should be violence. That is a must, because violence leads to some kind of turbulence, uncertainty. The government of the day gets shaken up. And the second thing is people's movement. Now, in this, there are two people's movement and one militant movement. What the Pakistan central government seems to be doing, which is based on our old, I don't want to put such a brilliant scholar's name here, but the principle of Chanakya, which says Sham Dam Dand Bhed, they are trying to
Hmm.
do aid the differentiation between the two people's movement. And if that happens, see what happens, sir. Every time anything happens, they incite Marang Baloch to condemn the BLA or condemn.
Hmm.
So those kind of things, they try to put a pressure on the people's movement parties. They have still not succumbed to that kind of inciting. But you never know in future, based on so many articulations. After all, there are people who can be bought on either side, sir. I mean, this is something which we need to be very conscious of. Any movement, if there is a leader who is ready to compromise, they can create this rift between the two movements. And then what may happen is that the Pakistan central government may get an upper hand. But if they read this game of Pakistan central government properly, the chances are that either Marang Baloch, I rate Marang Baloch group to be possibly going
Stronger.
faster towards the Bra group than the
Other way around.
Gwadar. So because they have actually suffered. If you see Marang
Yeah.
Baloch Marang Baluchas march up to
Islamabad.
Islamabad, they were actually in between stopped and punish. I mean, force was used against them, violence was used against them. So therefore, I feel that tendency to go towards the Bra group or the militant groups with Marang Baloch is likely to be more. And if once it becomes 2-1, then I think willy nilly the Gwadar group will also
Also joining.
tend to join. As of now, I put it to be about 60-40% chances of this kind of alignment taking place, and 40% Pakistan succeeding in breaking the triway or trilateral grouping which is slowly emerging on the scene. But if it all three groups combine, then Balochistan is ready for a new game, sir.
Okay.
So that
So
is the
that's the thing. That's a very important thing which you said.
yes, sir.
Okay. Now let's go to the next onion peel. And that
Yes,
onion second layer will talk of Pakistan. Like we said, we always discuss Pakistan itself has problems. It has TTP to contend with. It has now Baluchistan to contend with. It has POK to contend with. POK things are not happy. And then it has Sindhu Desh or Sindh may be problem hai.
correct.
So with this kind of a thing, and each are different. I mean, let me state it. The Baluch, whole lot of Baluchistan, everything. There's no, you might call it terrorism, but there's no radicalism there.
Yeah,
Whereas, okay, and the dependency of Pakistan on Baluchistan is more than the other way around.
correct.
Whereas if you see KPK is more dependent on Pakistan than the other way around. One, because it doesn't have resources. And the second thing is that place is more radical in nature. So the nature of thing is different. So with this kind of a thing, do you think Pakistan has the tools to contend with all these four movements
Um,
successfully, or they are you doing the same thing with everyone with the same results? Because you need to think of.
So as far as Pakistan as a nation is concerned, they, as you said rightly, that internally they are absolutely fragmented today, and each of their fragments are seeing some kind of a internal turbulence with a varying degree. But maximum of this turbulence, actually speaking, as per data, is in KKP, not in
Yeah,
Balochistan.
yeah,
Last year, 45% increase in the attacks of TTP against the Pak security forces took place, which has propelled them to the second place as far as GTI Global Terror Index is concerned. That is point number one. The point number two is about this nature of schooling of the TTP. The nature of
yeah.
schooling of TTP is different from BLA. BLA is more of a ethno-nationalistic movement,
Movement.
whereas the TTPs is more of a Islamic radicalism, which we
That's
are
right, right.
seeing.
Yeah.
In fact, they want to establish Sharia and a rule similar to what is in Afghanistan. So therefore, they enjoy a greater affinity with Afghanistan also. And the third thing which is making Pakistan as a nation difficult to deal with their western border is that there has been a tactical alliance between TTP and the BRA groups. Now that is making life even more difficult for Pakistan. I'm not even talking about Sindh, where there is some amount of a latent movement which is there. I'm not talking about POK,
POK.
where we just heard there are some rumors floating around about Hafiz Saeed's fate. We
Death
don't
and
know.
all that.
We don't know what is. I mean, the news is still
Yeah,
not very clear, so we won't like to comment on that. But we have forgotten Gilgit Baltistan.
yeah.
Now, Gilgit Baltistan is also not spared of its problem. They are also fighting the same battle as Baluchistan about
Well,
resources.
mm,
Sir, their areas are being mined. Their hydroelectric power is being siphoned off to Pakistan, China. They are also under a similar kind of a stress, and it may be just a matter of time. वो बोलते हैं ना खरबूजे को देखकर खरबूजा रंग बदलता है or something
mm,
like that. So if something starts happening in Balochistan and it starts succeeding, you will find the peripheries are the first one to revolt. Roman Empire fell because they were not able to secure their peripheries. And Gilgit Baltistan is a peripheral province which will get affected. So, therefore, as a nation, Pakistan is witnessing something of a nadir in its history. It's
Yeah,
a it's
I
it's
think you put the thing very nicely. In fact, Tilak Deveshar also in another podcast with
handy.
Strat News Global, he has said that he's never seen Pakistan in such a bad shape and the Pakistan army in such a bad shape as what it is. And you
That we will
just echoed
discuss.
his sentiment.
Our army we will discuss later on,
We'll
and
discuss. We'll discuss.
I'll also quote Tilak Daveshar because he has quoted a saying which is there in this part of the region, northwest frontier and Afghanistan, in this particular area, which is beyond the west of Indus or Sindh River, whichever way we want to call it. That to control this region, you have to master Kabul. And Pakistan has not been able to master Kabul, and therefore, what they are facing is a direct result of inability to master Kabul.
Yeah, I think so. I think you hit the nail on the head. So let's move to that layer now.
Yeah,
We'll look at the polycrisis of Pakistan.
yeah,
And for all the viewers, why I'm taking you through layers to layers is look, Balochistan is the innermost layer which is about to burst. And if something happens tomorrow in Balochistan, the rest of the layers will just fall away. And the other layers won't be able to control the situation. And that is
correct.
why I'm going layer by layer approach. The third layer, Pakistan and its polycrisis. So the
Absolutely
factors which I have included, we can take anyone and we can discuss. It's an economic end. It's an abyss, really.
correct.
It's politically, it's in a mess with PTI running, its own story from that Adiala jail or wherever he is. There's radicalism and terrorism going on within Pakistan. There's no doubt. Okay. Then there's a geopolitical issue for Pakistan itself. Doesn't have good relations with Iran. It doesn't have good relations with Afghanistan. It doesn't have good relations with India, and its relations with China are also not very good these days. Neither is, Pakistan in the good books of everyone, right? Now, with this kind of a setup, do you think Pakistan is in a position to control this whole thing?
Uh, we'll answer the control part for later. Let me highlight the seriousness of the polycrisis which you just spoke about. Now, the seriousness of polycrisis was in the last statement which I made in the previous layers
Yeah,
answer, which is inability to master Kabul. Now, unless that is the most difficult challenge which Pakistan is having as far as their external geopolitics goes. The second thing is Iran itself. Now, if you look at Iran, there was some exchanges of uh,
yeah, yeah.
strikes on either
Yeah.
side
Last year,
last year, and then they managed to sort out themselves. Iran itself is facing certain amount of problems of its own. So to that extent, Pakistan, as of now, is spared of a Iranian fingering in this particular area. But the support to the BLA and the BRA groups in Iran continues. So that sanctuary will remain. So therefore, Iran has to be also managed by Pakistan. Are they able to manage Pakistan, Iran? I have my serious doubts as of now. The Chinese were their permanent friend, higher than the Himalaya, deeper than the ocean, Iron Brother, so on and so forth. But they have stopped funding. They are just extracting everything out of Pakistan to get back their $66 billion, which they had pumped into CPEC on in the north through electricity and power, and in the south through the. And in return, what they are giving? Yes, they are giving them defense and military support in terms of aircraft and in terms of joint production of the JF-17 submarines, etc. Those things are being given by the Chinese, but I would say that those are just meant to keep Pakistan floating in this part of the region to secure its. So what I would say is that they are in dire need of a external support, and that external support to my mind seems very hazy as of now, although Trump has given some indications that he is going to kind of bail out Pakistan, but I don't know how is he going to bail out because
No, no,
they
but एक साइड तो उसने बोला बेल आउट को मैं he is a great friend ये वो because and on the other side उसने travel ban लगा दिया.
travel ban
Okay,
laga diya, and he's withdrawn all the foreign aid.
foreign aid.
So if foreign aid is out, yesterday I was attending a seminar in which they were talking about US pulling out from the World Bank and the IMF. If the US pulls out from the World Bank and IMF, the US has 16.5% share in the World Bank and 16% in the IMF. Imagine
They'll
the
collapse.
entire money flow will get sucked out. People are talking that China may fill in, but how much can China fill in? They themselves are in a major
A
economic
crisis.
crisis. So I don't think they'll be able to actually pump in money in
No,
these
I
two.
think at this point of time, WHO and IMF, China is in the region of 3 or 4%. That's about all.
5% in the
Okay.
IMF they are 5%, and in World Bank also thereabouts.
Yeah,
So
about three. Yeah, that's about.
so what I'm trying to say is that with the reduced fund flow, the external support is a mandatory requirement for this polycrisis to tide over as far as Pakistan is concerned. So either it starts selling off its resources, which is in terms of Gwadar and Karachi airport, Karachi port. I don't know what they're going to do, or they start giving bases to US, which the US wants, which the US wants for its own geopolitical purposes, and essentially to keep an eye on this particular part of the world, particular part of the region of the world. So therefore, in my view, the poly crisis is also not bursting, but very very precarious situation where it is difficult for them to. I don't think they'll be able to survive this without any major help. Internal crisis, what Imran Khan is talking about, all this will keep on adding to the overall balloon which is now bursting, in terms of ready to burst in terms of the Pakistan's situation.
Yeah,
I
so the next layer is the army credibility and how the army deals because everything in Pakistan today is very clear. It's the army, and the
I
army knows how to deal with this problem only through security lens and cordon and search and yeah, all that.
Correct. So therefore, unless they go in for a people-based policy of correcting Baluchistan, I don't think the Pakistan army can manage this. And when I say people-based, it means that they are not going to have an overnight solution that yes, they launch some schemes, etc., and people of Balochistan are going to fall in line. No, I'm sorry. I think they will have to start with confidence building measures, stop undertaking forcible lifting of people. They have to announce some kind of a ceasefire. Imagine in the month of Ramzan, which is supposed to be a period when people are supposed to pray, they are having the maximum incidents of violence.
Killings.
Now that is something which should indicate to the people that the kind of opposition which Pakistan army is facing, that is about the situation as far as security is concerned. Look at the Pakistan army's internal health. I wrote an article 2 days back. It has been published in First Post. People can go and read it. And I mentioned the headline in that is Pak Mafia. Pak army is a mafia. It means that it is virtually uh, not dipping, but it is drowned in corruption. Whether it is CPEC, whether it is running of these Fauji foundations and things like that, they are only looking at filling up their coffers. Their officers are staying in some high society, isolated, secure environment. Other people can go to, go to hell. That kind of an environment which the Pakistan army is enjoying. I think people will see through all this, and Pakistan army will face pushbacks. It faced some pushbacks during Imran Khan's May 9th movement when a lot of people went against the Pak army. It's just a matter of one more provocation, one more major incident to happen, and the Pak army may also face a similar onslaught as what happened in May 9th. So Pak army is
Yeah,
also,
May 9th.
yeah, so Pak army is also not in a very good situation as of now. They are the only thread which is holding this country together. If that breaks, let me tell you, we will have a problem at our hand. When I say
Yeah,
we
we'll
will have
talk
a
of that. We'll come to that. I'll come to that. That's the last layer we'll talk of.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
I
yeah.
completely agree with you. So
Mm.
Park Army today is at it's also losing credibility by the day. That's the next part is that Park Army is losing credibility in the way it is dealing. There's a lot of people who are for Baluchistan. They sympathize with the Baluch cause. They
Correct.
say, look, what happens to Baluch people today might happen tomorrow to us. That's the first thing. The second thing is, which I want to highlight, is that it is just not Baluchistan which is affected. A whole lot of Baluch people are sitting in Sindh,
Yes.
and they are also they. So as a result, Sindh is also getting destabilized. There's one more layer. I wouldn't say layer, a layer and a half a layer, which I want to add in this, and that is lack of water in Pakistan.
Yeah,
You see,
even
what has happened? No, I
floods,
mean,
drought,
not floods.
all
See,
that has started.
that has started, but what has army done? Army has now put 6 canals which into Cholistan, and they're
Mm.
corporatizing farming out there, and they have sold that land to who are they wanted to sell, and I'm sure their part of that land is being given to the Pak army also, and they
Correct.
wanted to corporate farming. As a result, they have taken water from Indus and put here. The result is tomorrow Sindh won't have water.
Correct.
If Sindh doesn't have water, as it is, there are everyday political agitations because of this water problem. And that gets conflated with this Baluchistan problem, with the number of Baluch out there. Then you're looking at a different dimension. And this is something which we have to put. So when you say the polycrisis of Pakistan, water is another major issue which is there. Already for the last water of the last पानी देते हैं ना wheat के लिए 5 बार पानी देते हैं या 6 बार पानी देते हैं तो जो last पानी देने के लिए they were short of 30 to 35% for wheat. So their wheat production itself is going to go down. So there are issues. We'll not go there, but
In
that
any
is a
case,
layer.
this was also discussed in the past, also on this channel itself, that they were supposed to be food exporters. Now they are
Yeah,
actually
exporters,
importers. Now they are food importers.
importers.
I wanted to add here about Pakistan Army one more issue which people are
Yeah,
now asking in Pakistan, and that is Pakistan Army's ability to control the
the situation.
radical elements which are there in either KKP or KPK or in Baluchistan. They are saying that they are questioning the Pakistan Army's professional capability. Now that is something which is a major blow, and this is happening from people in the heartland.
Yeah,
So that is because you see the people who got killed, their families, etc., they're all residing in this part of the world. So therefore I think their Pak army is not only because of their corruption, not only because of their high-handedness, are facing a setback. They are also facing a setback because of their lack of professionalism, their lack of ability to control such situations. I will
yeah,
give you a I'll give you a very small example. The Zafar Express incident, I consider it as an inflection point as far as Pakistan Army's fight against terror, counterinsurgency is concerned. Reason for that is, sir, any security force, when it sees its security preparedness to respond to such such incidents which may take place either through terrorism or through insurgents or through whichever way you want to call it, freedom fighters, they take care of all contingencies. I can tell you based on my experience, because I have served in an organization where it was dealing with things of counter terror. We have been practicing train hijack for last 20 years. So what I'm trying to say is that if you are a person with a belief that you have to be prepared for such like situation, then you might as well prepare for it. The fact that these people were unable to handle it in a way a security force should have handled it has created a big doubt in the Pak Army's capability to handle security situation, and that is going to be a major setback for Pak Army.
Yeah, and Pakistan doesn't have the time at their disposal to start training on the job today. One. Number two, it does also doesn't have the economic depth
Correct.
to get the equipment needed and to get the organization needed to get into. See,
Correct.
now that the train hijack has happened, it will not happen again. Something else will happen. We know that.
Something else will happen. And it's not that
So,
it happened first time. Their ports have been attacked, naval bases have been attacked. So
air
therefore, it is
bases have been attacked.
air bases have been attacked. Three air bases of Pakistan
Yeah,
have been attacked. Three or
yeah,
four, if I'm not wrong.
yeah.
So
And
we
this
go
is
to
not the only militancy. Look, this, like you rightly said earlier, this is not the only militancy. There's a
apps.
bigger militancy in TTP also, which is going on.
Bilkul.
Right. So this is a very important factor. How Pakistan army responds to the whole situation is something important. Okay. Now can I go to the next layer? I want to discuss China.
Yeah, sure, sure, sir.
Okay. Now the thing about China is this. While everyone talks of CPEC, wo, all that, we need to think of Gwadar. Why Gwadar? Gwadar and Karachi form the base for China, naval bases. That China has been after to make itself a, it needs two oceans to make itself a superpower. And there are a lot of people who are discussing that, China wants to put its second strike capability here, and China wants to make Gwadar as its first overseas theater command headquarters. Right. And for those of you who don't know what Gwadar is, sorry, I'll not, yeah, this is Gwadar. Gwadar is something which jets out, and this place is their basic thing, and this is all what they want to develop into that base. And the actual port is this, where my pointer is shown. Now,
Mhm.
given all this, how do you think? And of course, we have this Gwadar ka Hak Do movement, and some part of it will get into this BLA, ye, wo, the way Baluchistan is being handled. Where do you see all this story going? Or how do
Uh,
you think impact will be there?
I had commented on this a few days back in some other channel, sir. See, if you look at Gwadar, the Chinese have always been interested in Gwadar. That's why they've got the submarines also there. And submarines, you know what for what purpose
Yeah,
they can be used. They have shared their technology with the Pakistan army, and therefore deploying something on these platforms is very much a feasibility which can happen. They only need to do some technological. In any case, if you remember, they have also done a testing of MIRVs from this particular base only
yeah,
about last year in response to the Indian MIRV
yeah,
test, and it was helped by the Chinese.
yeah.
This entire testing was held by the Chinese. So therefore, the assessment which you are trying to make, there is very much a possibility of that kind of a thing happening. And if you add another incident to this, just to reinforce your argument, remember the US ambassador had been visiting this area quite frequently. I mean, last year at least, he
Yeah.
came once or twice, and then there were some undersecretaries also who visited. I don't know what the Trump administration is going to do with this particular development. So therefore, it seems that there is something brewing up for which even the US is not very supportive of Pakistan. But knowing Trump, I think he's trying first the friend route, and then if that doesn't materialize, then I suppose he will try the economy route, and last would be his the some kind of a punishment route. So we'll see that. But
We'll see
we'll see
that.
that. We'll see that. But then you're right that it is needing these additional external bases. Djibouti it has got, but Djibouti only relying on one base is not enough. And imagine you should also consider that India has now a fair amount of presence as far as the Mauritius is concerned. Maldives also we have got it around. We have kind of managed Maldives also quite well. Sri Lanka has also been managed uh, fairly decently by India. So therefore, we are giving a pushback to the Chinese in this particular region. So the only way possibly China can continue to be present in this region is through Pakistan, and in that
Pakistan.
in that
So
Gwadar
in
and Gwadar is one port where hardly any traffic comes. In
Yeah,
fact, 20 to 21 ships is what the average is. So which means that, at any time it can be declared as a classified secure zone, etc., and they can continue to do their job what they want to do in this particular place, and it can be a good base to actually base their external theater command.
yeah. But so how does
Some
that
kind of
get
a
impacted?
some kind of a response to a central command of the
US.
US. They already have
So
with the Pacific on the other side, so this would become a central command response.
second, yeah. So if that is the case, right, and this whole BLA thing going the way it is going and park this thing, where do you think all this will this trigger more thing, or will some external hand come in to help BLA? Will that all those? I mean, can take a
I
broad guess?
I had given this view that probably behind the BLA, I may be wrong. I'm doing a very wild guess, and I did it last time, and I got away with it. Is that, how can a group suddenly become so strong? How can a group think of doing these kind of things which they were earlier not doing? Attacking a post of the Pak military, regular post, regular Pak army post. I mean, they require certain amount of preparation. They require certain amount of recce. They require certain amount of resources. They require certain amount of sharing of intelligence, some technical help. So many other things are required. So therefore, where is it coming from? Definitely not from Iran. I don't think Iran is at this stage that competent enough. I added the US visit of US personal visit in this particular part as probably some kind of a arrangement being made to make BLA as a counterweight to the Chinese, and possibly that may be true also. They, given the fact that they also have good relations with Taliban. I mean,
Yeah,
after all,
I mean, I
after all, the Doha deal was struck between Taliban, Taliban and the
and yeah,
US.
yeah, and USA. Yeah, I agree with you to some extent, but I
So many,
also disagree. No, I have a
so many
different
weapons
point
and
of
all,
view.
so many weapons and all were left behind.
Yeah,
Do you
weapons
think?
are not a problem.
No, do you think US Army wouldn't have been capable of lifting their arms and ammunition?
Look, yeah, that I have no doubt. The weapons won't go out. The weapons were left there for a purpose. I have
Hmm.
no doubt about it now. And we
Correct.
never had a doubt about it. The thing which this thing is, BLA has enough weapons. Like you rightly said, there are enough weapons there, and they would have left. I have a slight doubt about, US support. If I mean, US might be giving some support. I'm not saying no, some support. But I don't think USA is giving full support. Agar full support dena hai, to the whole story will be different.
No, it may be. It may be. You're right.
The whole story. I mean, we've known how USA operates. Donald Lu and that female who used to loaf around. That type of
She's
visits.
gone now. She's gone now.
She's
Victoria. Victoria ऐसे कुछ नाम था.
विक्टोरिया न्यूलैंड एंड ये भी अबे
Yeah.
कोई नहीं यार वो विक्टोरिया न्यूलैंड गई तो कोई और आ जाएगी वो ओल्ड लैंड आ जाएगी कोई
I know that somebody else will come in that organization.
हाँ वो
Somebody
तो
else.
ऐसी बात नहीं है so
Hmm.
but the point is this what I'm trying to say is that while what you're saying has got a lot of value and I've done some shows with the Baluch people also and they
Hmm.
say that India is not giving them help
That's right. I
if
mean,
India is not
that is their constant crib.
that's their constant crib. So if India is not giving them help and Iran will not give them help and Taliban they'll have tactical adjustments, where are they getting the resources, uh, the intellectual resources to run this whole organization? And the sophistication of these attacks, it's not just a train attack,
Yes,
it's very sophisticated. Okay.
absolutely. That's the point which I was
Uh,
trying to make.
yeah, and the way they've attacked multiple posts, police posts, army posts,
Absolutely.
it's, it's
Nosh,
not
etc.
easy.
If you remember last
Yeah.
year, they attacked in Nosh, they attacked in so many other army
Yeah.
posts.
Yeah. So they're very sophisticated kind of attacks. And the way they've carried out attacks against Chinese,
Yes,
especially the
they
Karachi
also,
attack, yeah,
yes,
you know,
they finally attacked against the Chinese also.
Chinese also, and
And
that
two,
shook a
three
lot of
attacks.
things up. Yeah,
Yeah, two, three attacks.
yeah. So given that, so I won't rule the US involvement, but I think there is a threshold at which US has capped its help to them.
See, it may not be giving a wholehearted support, but maybe
But
there is
some,
some
yeah,
indirect
yeah,
support. Maybe some
yeah,
indirect support
I agree with you. So
through
there
a
is some
proxy,
indirect support. Yeah,
through a
I do no
proxy.
doubt.
And
Maybe.
Afghanistan Taliban is a good willing proxy. That is
Yeah, it's a
why
willing proxy. Yeah.
as of today, and it serves their purpose. And I again come back to the main point: you have to master Kabul to control this region, sir.
Okay. So fine. So Kabul is out of Pakistan control. Till such
Yes,
time Kabul is out of Pakistan's control or friendship, they will flower. Okay.
yes,
Now, given all this and given the instability which is there in the region, we've counted all their polycrisis, their other crises, external, internal differences within their provinces and all that. There's a good chance that Pakistan might collapse,
yeah.
right? There's a good chance. Let's not rule it out.
I mean,
After all,
if it can happen in Bangladesh, it can happen
it
anywhere.
can happen there also.
Yeah.
Okay, and if it happens here, things will be worse. Now the issue is what happens to the nukes and where does India come in this?
Yes. Now, that is something which has been worrying not only
All
India,
of us.
it has been worrying the entire world. And it is here that I feel that maybe the US has got its tentacles into these systems through the Pak army. I have a feeling that they are under a much greater, tighter control. And even if something happens of this kind, there will be elements which will protect these, and maybe the ensuing possible government or possible alignment which may come into power, they will have some handle on him, or handle on that particular entity. So that is the only way they can save themselves. And of course, this thing about terrorists getting hold of these weapons, etc., is a real threat. But what can they do with this? That is also very important, right?
We do,
So
that's I mean, my way of looking at it is to me, it's not the terrorists who will get hold of these weapons. It is in case of a law and order breakdown, it is the remnant portions of the army who might go rogue and use it who have the capability to do so. That to me is a bigger threat.
that to me it appears that Pak army, given what I have interacted with him, you also interacted with these people on number of occasions. I think Pak army will defend to its last as far as the sanctity of this country is concerned, Pakistan is concerned. That is the only belief I have, that Pak army, possibly against all odds, will ensure that the fabric of Pakistan at least doesn't get so ruptured that they lose the entity called Pakistan. I think
Okay, fine.
they'll try to
I'm
keep.
not saying. Look, I also agree with you that it's not easy to break this country till Pak army is alive and kicking.
Yes,
But given a situation, I'm just highlighting a situation. Given a situation where things go out of control, it might be beyond Pak army. In which case, how to handle the nuke question is an open question. We'll not discuss this anymore.
I, I
I
I
mean,
have I have one option which might be taking place.
yeah,
The Americans may already be working on alternates within the Pak army.
maybe,
You know,
maybe.
like in Bangladesh, you've seen the Pak army chief was, I think, at the right moment he turned sides and got everything under control. Maybe there will be something like that which might happen, who will be more acceptable to the general public. He comes out and takes over the reign and says, okay, I'll promise everything. That kind of a changeover may take place either by Pakistan army, either through US efforts, more likely through US efforts than Chinese efforts.
China is out of the equation. Now, on this, I'm very clear that China,
So
uh,
because the CIA has deep roots as far as Pakistan is concerned. I mean, I would say much greater deep roots than Chinese MSS or the department, UFD department 303
Yeah,
310 department. It has got much better routes than the Chinese. So therefore, this kind of an alternative may be already being worked out well in time. That much of intelligence these guys would be monitoring on. That's the way I look
good.
at it.
Okay. So,
And and and
la-
we should not rule out India.
we shouldn't. Yeah, I agree with you. No,
I mean,
I agree with you. I
if
think, in my own opinion,
if there
we
are
should already.
adversaries,
Yeah, I go with you completely. I think, in my own opinion, I think India should already have started speaking to USA
correct.
as to outcomes. Look, this is going this thing. Let's do something about it. You take the lead and we'll follow your thing. Whatever. I mean, let's see how it pans out. It might be
Yeah,
a little too premature to talk about it, but
and we'll not
you never
discuss.
know.
This is a very
We'll not
sensitive
discuss.
subject.
Yeah,
Very
we'll
very
not
sensitive.
discuss it. Okay.
People
So
will
finally,
go.
what is it? What would India's take be? The last layer which we can discuss before we take some questions. What should India's layer be in this whole story?
So, in my view, India should still continue to ensure that Pakistan remains intact, albeit in a state where it can't do anything to us. It should remain
Mhm.
focused toward the western
Yeah,
borders, and keep that will keep our frontier safe, quiet. If they are into this kind of a orientation where they are looking at Kabul, I keep calling it as Kabul. अगर वो कबूल करते रहें उसको, तो इंडिया के लिए
Mhm.
फ्री रन टिल एट 2047. That's the way I look at it. Pakistan engaged for the next 20, 30 years, the way we were being put through this kind of a ordeal, as far as we were concerned. They should remain in that kind of an ordeal where they are west looking, and we remain free to grow economically, more
and
resilient.
militarily. Yeah, and everything.
That's the
And
way I look
so,
at it. That's the way
yeah,
I
and
look at
so, yeah, the immediate thing, the way I look at it, I go with you. I'm only adding to what you're saying, is
it.
that we need to strengthen our relationship with the Taliban.
Correct.
Okay, which we have already started doing. After all,
It's work in
we
progress.
it's a work in progress. And if those of you who have seen my earlier show, I did how to improve our relations with Taliban, India, and Afghanistan, and
Yeah.
which many of you have seen it. Maybe sometime next week we'll do a show on India and Afghanistan.
Yeah. We have got
I'll
3 billion
request.
struck there, sir. We
Yeah,
have got 3 billion struck there
yeah,
in
yeah. We
Afghanistan.
have.
Yeah.
So we will discuss this in the next show with General Dushan. We'll talk of Afghanistan, Pakistan, and India, and where this triangle is going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything else you want to say, or should
No,
we
sir,
take some
I think
questions?
we have covered everything what is related to the situation in Baluchistan. Uh, the only thing, final word would be that it's a fluid situation, and let's see what happens in the future.
Yeah,
It's
and
very uncertain. It's very uncertain, and we'll have to wait and watch.
yeah, and for my two bits worth, I would like to help Balochistan and the BLA and Maharang Baluch, everyone, with good wishes and everything, and whatever we can do for them, because I think they're being unfairly treated by Pakistan Army.
We
We,
highlighted this
yeah,
2%. I mean, what kind of
that's
help?
no, that's absolutely bad. And if I have to
Look at
advise the
JNK. We give more than their share for JNK
to
as compared
JNK,
to others.
yeah, and and if JNK has turned around, it is because of the amount of economic effort we put in there,
Yeah,
and how we've been able to win the hearts and minds of people, which
that's
these
right.
people are just doing the opposite.
Yeah,
They're not doing that hearts and mind battle at all. You know,
yeah.
that's the advice I'll give to Pak Army कि भाई जाके उनका दिल जीत लो पहले, उसके बाद बाकी हो जाएगा.
CBM करो, सीज फायर करो,
हाँ, सब
उसके
कुछ
बाद
करो.
उसके बाद इलेक्शन करो, फिर उसके बाद बातचीत करो, and then move ahead. That's the only way
Yeah,
they can.
and this is a people's war. It is not a security war. It is not a war against militancy. It's a war against the Pakistan army which is fighting with itself against its own people.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Let me take some questions. And this thing. And before I move ahead, I would request all of you, those who like this show, to kindly subscribe to Gunner Shot and also like this video. Also, subscribe to the Claus channel, right? That today is a joint effort between Klaus and Gunner Shot. And we're going to do more of this. Okay. And Klaus is our official think tank. So, to that extent, what we're going to talk here is going to be considered, and it is going to be something which is, based on some thought and not airy gairy masala. Okay. In any case, both these channels don't believe in masala, we believe in fact.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, thanks a lot, Krishnamurti Shankar Narayanan, for having joined us as a member. I also thank Sandeep Singh Bajwa, who's joined us. Uh, Sajid, he says, lots of respect to you both. The easiest way for US to control Baluchistan is through Pak army. So, can't imagine why they would free Stan in Pak. Please think your views over. Adi is going gaga over this.
Okay, I mean that's Adi's view. I think you can take or leave. What we are saying is that if Pakistan has to, if they have to work through Pak army, they will see more of the same. They will see more of the same.
And
Pakistan
yeah,
army
and
is failing. How can you support a failing sinking ship?
yeah, and not only that, you have to remember the Americans are no fools.
And and
That they'll
and
back the.
don't forget the China factor. As of
Uh,
today, US sees China as not only competitor but an adversary. So I think that you have to
Pacing.
take.
Yeah, they called it a pacing threat.
Yes.
The word is pacing threat.
So
Okay.
so so it's not so simple. You may look at
Yeah.
things the way you have to look.
Okay. Sandeep Singh Bajwa, thanks for your service. Thanks for your contribution. So honored. Okay, let me take a few questions. Right. Where are the questions? There are a lot of.
Comments only.
Yeah,
Basically,
come
most.
on. Yeah. Is there not a great possibility that refugees may spill over to India, considering the deteriorating situation in Pakistan? Should the government increase forces at the western borders?
We fully agree. That's why we said, we should continue to let Pakistan remain stable as far as its eastern frontiers are concerned, and the western frontier should remain active. That should be our aim.
Mm.
And if there are any spillover of refugees, we have to deal with them the way we deal with any infiltrators. I think these people will have to be collected. There is a big example which has been given out by by our the superpower on the west, where they are sending back people. I think we can also quietly send these chaps back into their country.
Yeah. Look at the new airport, no flights. Yeah, we didn't touch upon it. The new
Hmm.
airport was inaugurated. I covered it in the last podcast. It was inaugurated from Islamabad. No one
Correct.
came there to inaugurate it. Okay, and there's only one flight in a week, and
Yeah.
everything is in Chinese out there. So the whole story is this whole place is it's going to become Chinese in the long run.
and and that is why that logic which I said, probably BLA is being
Mm.
supported. If they support, if they influence through Pak army, then it will be more effort will go to Chinese. It's like feeding the Chinese through Pak army, right?
Yeah. Okay. Did a whole bunch of Pakistan army folks quit recently? This is a rumor. I don't think it's
I'm not
true.
aware of it. I think we
Yeah.
should remain
We
till we
sh-
get some kind of a input. We should
Yeah.
not talk.
So is it a possibility that Pak headquarter, GHQ, and ISI are daggers drawn?
There were some rifts within the Pak army, but those I believe Munir has been able to quieten them by taking out the leadership which was fomenting these things, including the Pak 1 Corps commander and the 4 Corps commander. And there were some people who were removed. The current Corps commanders are all selected people of the current chief. So, therefore, my sense is that as of now, he's got the things under control.
Okay. Is there uh, really a collapse of Pakistan and each group trying to wrest control? Will PLA be able to hold on to Gwadar and GB?
The PLA has given a lot of money to Pakistan to raise two divisions for the security of
Mm.
the seabed, and they have given them a diktat that, especially after the last attack, that they want the security of the Chinese elements there, as also the area from where they are taking out and extracting their resources. I think till that time the areas will remain secure, but who knows in the future what may happen, because Chinese, I feel, are very hesitant to get their boots on ground. That is one
Yeah.
of the weaknesses which they have.
And the flip is also true. Pakistan army won't like Chinese around because
Absolutely.
then,
After all,
you know,
by and large, the culture is same.
okay. How long will China tolerate Pakistan's instability before reducing its support or abandoning it? Part of it has been question
It's,
answered.
yeah, it's already abandoning, in the sense it's not giving any fresh loans. It's not giving any, except for military
Mm.
loan, military support. You see, why it is giving military support is that will keep Pakistan in control of Pakistan army in control of Pakistan, because so therefore they are restricting their support to these areas. I mean, especially military support. The
Yeah,
economic, they are only rolling over the debt. That's all. I don't know what they are going to do this year, but till last year they have rolled over the 26 billion debt which the Pakistan owes to China.
so he says, is Pakistan headed for balkanization? Akash, we've told you that's a long way off, the way I look at it at this point of time. And that's what General Dushant has also been saying.
Correct.
Okay. Rakesh Bhatia had asked a question.
Yeah. What has he asked? He's a
I
good,
was,
he's a good Pakistani expert. Let me see what he's asked.
yeah, that's I'm searching for his question.
Okay, let me just see.
कहीं था इसका.
नीचे तो, ऊपर तो नहीं है?
नहीं.
SB Sarkar.
Okay, in the meanwhile, just take this. I think
Hmm.
China is already working on a plan to isolate US and Bharat and make things in Pakistan take a turn for the worse. It may eventually play its loan to Pakistan card to significantly gain control of uh, land and other strategic positions.
Okay, so China has always been manipulating Pakistan, and people were talking of Pakistan being a vassal state of China. I mean, that is a given as of today, because let me also give you figures to tell what I'm trying to say. 80% of their weapon systems are now Chinese, not even Western. The F-16s which they hold are still old. I mean, they are of the older generation. So therefore, the Chinese virtually control the juggler of Pakistan. If they control the Pakistan army, then they control the Pakistan juggler. So China will manipulate Pakistan the way it wants for its favor against India, against US. That's a given, and that is why the US has been very involved in Pakistan to prevent that from happening. So till the time these two powers continue to fight over Pakistan, again it is good for us.
Yeah, Rakesh also had the same thing. How long will China tolerate Pakistan instability before reducing its support or abandoning it?
It is not going to abandon it militarily, at least. It may abandon it economically. It will try to rope in the international economic instruments to give it support, IMF, World Bank, so that उसने जो लोन दिया है, the loans which the Chinese have given, they get serviced. So they will
Y-
try to do that kind of a thing.
Yeah, and one more thing we should all realize, China is in a difficult position here. For the simple reason, internally, China is in a problem. After all, yesterday eve and today morning, I did the show. Economically, it's not in a good situation. So don't give too much credence to China. If China could have done so much by taking land of Pakistan, they would have done it long back. They're not able to do it. They are also caught. And another important thing is this business of two sessions में एक बार भी BRI का नाम नहीं लिया, एक बार भी पाकिस्तान का नाम जिक्र नहीं हुआ.
नहीं हुआ.
ठीक है? So don't give too much credence to Pakistan, China. China will fight for its rights there. After all, it has spent money. It has spent some the amount of money which it has been sunk there could be anything between billion dollars to $62 billion. But then we
So
don't know. But they have sunk money,
yeah,
right? They would like to get value out of it.
there is
Okay.
something called sunk cost in management, and
And yeah,
they do not like, they consider Pakistan as a sunk cost. They are only keeping it afloat for their geopolitical interests.
yeah,
That's the way I put it.
yeah. And looks like YouTube is stopping few questions posted on the link. Oh, that's okay. Don't worry. ये तो होता रहता है.
Yeah.
And last and this thing, yeah, thanks Pawan for telling this. I would like everyone to like and subscribe to this channel. And like he's also said, don't forget to like the video. Okay. And earlier Prasad has also said that look, it's a damn good thing and all that. Yeah, that's okay. Not a problem. Anything else you want to say, Dushan, before we
No,
pack up?
I think so. We have discussed this whole issue quite enough in detail. Especially the layer system of analysis was quite good. I think people should be more educated, and I would put it that don't jump to conclusions on one small incident here or other small incident there. Nations are, there is a saying of Charles Tilly: nations make war and wars make nations. So therefore, there is a war going on there. Let's wait for the war outcome to take place.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. Thanks a lot. So here comes Prasad. Thanks a lot, Prasad. Thank you, sir. Great session on Baluchistan. We must thank General Dushyant for his very measured and considered views and sane views. The easiest thing to say is go बलूचिस्तान को पैसा दे दो, पाकिस्तान को तोड़ दो, मोड़ दो, ये वो सब बेवकूफी है, ठीक है? अगर वो जैसे किसने बोला ना, अगर वो सब करना है तो वो बाकी चैनल्स में बहुत है बोलने वाले ऐसे. So we should, when you come to a channel like Ganashot or Klaus, which is quasi-official kind of a channel, expect balance. And, हिंदी में जो बोलते हैं संयम संयम रखो.
Deep waters,
They,
deep waters are still, sir.
still, yeah, that's the way we look at it. And deep water smile also. That's the way we, right? At the end, thanks a lot, Dushan, for joining
Thank,
us today. And thanks a lot for all of you who have given some good inputs and questions. Thank
thank
you.
you,
Good evening and Jai Hind.
thank you, sir. Jai Hind, sir.